hopefully you guys can hear me. We are going live from the event and my wife's book signing. So we thought we'd do a live remote. It has been ridiculously hectic to try to do this.
Yes.
So we didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So we thought, okay, we'll put it up under normal means. And if I'm able to get my phone to connect and walk around the room, get some interviews and kind of promote the event as well. But my wife is doing a book signing here. We've had a ton of people that has asked for the signing already. We didn't get to catch that because it was before 6:30. And I know we're coming on a little bit earlier, but what can we do? The event was now. We wanted to, we wanted to kind of highlight not only her book signing, but also the event itself at the museum, and kind of bring you guys into some individuals who are proud of their Asian heritage and are, promoting it, kind of showing it love. So, definitely, Loud is not Asian.
I know.
It is a different.
I'm just messing with you.
And it's jokes.
I'm joking.
But if you guys want to take a look.
How are you? Hi. Good. Sorry. Oh no, you're not. You look beautiful. Thank you. You too. Where's your didn't come? The oldest one.
Max didn't
Yeah,
come.
Max.
No, he had too much homework.
Oh, homework.
His little brother and sister are here.
Aw, that's nice. You as well. Have you ever met my husband?
No,
This
I've
is
seen his
Marcelo.
pictures.
You've probably seen it all.
How
Yeah.
are
I'm
you?
Denise.
Marcelo, how are you?
Yes.
Crazy. This is
Sorry.
doing a live remote.
Technical difficulties. The museum is.
Yeah, same.
Everyone's using Wi-Fi.
But I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse of the turnout. There's still people coming in left and right. But good turnout for what of the event. And I think we're going to broadcast some of the festivities and speakers. We wanted to get some shots of people of my wife doing the actual book signing. Like I said, we kind of started it.
And stuff. Well, let me try to see if we can get it on the on here as well. So you go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah, but guys, be prepared. Like I said, next week is like the relaunch of the Asian Soul podcast. So we will have our guests back on, small business owners, entrepreneurs, role models. We will have a little bit more in-depth schedule as far as our podcast is concerned, and a little bit of surprises as well. So please stay tuned. We'll be sending some videos and some promos on social media as far as Facebook is concerned as well. So, like I said, sit back, enjoy the Elgin Museum event, listen to what they're saying, and kind of take that in, and be a part of the show.
Come on, Timmy.
Yeah, it's working. You just have to connect to the internet.
Right, I'm gonna walk around and do a little bit of spectating on my own while my wife sits here and kind of mans her station. And like I said, enjoy, be prepared for next week when we're back to our regular programming. But we thought that because we did so much with Asian and Black culture, that something that is pertaining to the culture and people spent their money and time, manpower and energy, that we should give you guys a glimpse of this as well.
Put it home too, so that way you could. That way you could take pictures and stuff. Maybe this is
All right, I'm home.
You gotta turn on camera. Can you? Or is it, will it let you? Like turn that way? Oh, you just have to flip it, I guess. So that if you want to see that way.
I don't know what she's talking about.
So I'm going to.
All right, so we
Why am I
will
not
be.
showing?
Oh, could be your Wi-Fi. Yeah, so we're at the museum and we are waiting for the performance to begin in about 5 minutes. So hang in there with us and we will begin shortly.
All right, it's not working.
Uh-oh. Energy working. Unstable. Yeah, it's like internet issues. What about your phone? Is your internet good? One second. So let's see.
While we're waiting,
You're in the show.
while we're waiting, I'm going to rap like this. Listen up. This is my new job. It's not rapping. So everybody good.
Oh, see? That's what I meant, like, utilizing. I just wanted to make sure that the setting was good. It's refreshing. So you know what I'm saying? Like that way.
Doesn't matter. Just turn it
Oh,
on.
okay. That's what I was asking.
More chairs in the back we can
There we
unload.
go. Okay.
I think they're equal.
There it is.
Make it There was.
Recovered. I can go right.
Right along here.
No, right over there. About 3 seats.
We will be starting shortly. She said she can't hear you with the mask.
Yeah. You do not have to. Oh, okay. I was like, oh, you're
Yeah. So once the program starts, then we will. You should be able to hear, and I will turn it around so you can see the performance and everything that's going on. Okay, so hang tight.
There's still some seats in the middle here too.
Oh, I meant to grab it. I completely forgot. Because there's no lighting. Oh, we're live. We're live.
I know we're live.
Yes, we are. Just use that too. Hi, Peter. Hi, Natalie. Oh, you're right. You're right. Oh, thank you.
Nat, who's doing the music for you?
All right. I think we're ready to get going. Everybody grab a seat if they have it. Look this way. Good evening. My name is Al Walters, and I'm the president of the Elgin History Museum. And we couldn't be happier that you're here tonight. We're thrilled to be able to share, allow exhibit in history and culture and community with all of us tonight. And we're looking forward to seeing just some wonderful dancing and interaction. And again, we couldn't be happier to have you here. I see a lot of faces that are probably new to the museum. So one important piece of information is always, where's the bathroom? And it's right down the other end of this hall. So you can have that little piece of information. Now, the museum in general is open tonight. Of course, we're here to focus on the Lao exhibit. But if you should want to wander off and look at things on the first and second floor, the museum is open, the lights are on. And if you have any questions, just get one of us museum people to answer them for you. Okay? All right, next up is our museum director, Liz, who had a lot to do with helping you put this exhibit together.
Hi, I'm Liz Marston, I'm the museum director, and I wanted to share a few things before we get started with Ket. We have our friend Chaz Surridge here, and he's going to speak for just a second on the pandemic health navigator.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Chaz Surridge, and I'm here with my colleague, Ana Maria Mora, and together we are two fifths of the Gail Borden Library's pandemic assistance team. And basically, our job is to help people in the community with any type of needs or hardships that they may have due to the COVID pandemic. So a few things that we do primarily help people find where they get the vaccine and make appointments if they need help. We help organize vaccine clinics, and then we try to help connect people in the community to resources for rental, mortgage, and utility assistance, to name a few things. So, we'll be out here tonight. We have our table set up. So if there's anything we can help you with, or you just want more information, please feel free to stop by and talk to us. We have flyers, so if you want to take a flyer and call us at another time, or if you know anybody who needs some help and you want to pass along their flyer, or you have a business or organization you want to take some flyers to, please feel free to stop by and talk to us. We also have a table in Gail Borden Library in the lobby that we staff from Monday through Friday from 1 to 5. So thank you for listening. Thank you to Liz and Ket for having us here. And I think this is going to be one of the more fun events that Thanks again for having us. Thank you for the food. And we hope to talk to you later.
Okay, also we're honored to have Laura Robinson here, who wrote $40 in Shame.
Okay.
And she's going to come over here and talk to you about her book, and it is for sale, and she'll sign it for you tonight. If you're interested in hearing that. So go ahead, Laura.
I did anticipate talking, so I don't have any speech or anything planned. However, thank you so much for that. So I recently published a book on Amazon, $40 in a Dream. This book was inspired by 10 years ago when my husband had to write a book report about someone from out of the country. And so I began to think, and I'm like, well, I don't know about my history, because a lot of times our parents, they went through a lot to get here. We had no idea. All I knew was that we're immigrants, right? And so we just came here for a better life. I didn't know what that meant. And so I started to explore, and I called my dad, and I said, Dad, I have to write a book report about someone from out of the country. My husband had to write a book report, and you need to tell me what's going on. Like, what do I tell him? I don't know my history. He paused, a really, really long pause. And he said, what do you mean? What do you want me to tell you? I don't know what to tell you. I said, well, I don't know, Dad. You know the history. Where did we come from? Why are we here? He gave me a phone number, and this number led to a lady named Jane Scott from Tennessee. And so here, I wrote down the number, picked up the phone. I called with my voice shivering, like, who is the stranger on the other line? So I called, the phone rings, Jane answers on the other line. I said, hi, Jane, this is Nippapon. Remember me? And this was 35 years since I have seen Jane. I was a little refugee child when we first met, and here I am, a 30-something-year-old adult, and out of the blue, I call her, and she's like, Nippapon! Like, her voice was shivering, she was crying on the other end, and I said, hi, I'm glad you remember me. I need to know about my history, because my husband has to write a book report for his college project. And so Jane said, It's so great to hear from you. I'm gonna dig into my attic and I'm going to find the articles of information that might be of interest to you. So Jane went to dig in, she went into her attic, and next week, I received this packet of information, and I just, little by little, I pulled out little pieces of articles and newspaper clippings, and I just sat there and bawled my eyes out. It was like I was reading from someone else, like someone else from the movies. I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is me? I'm reading about myself. I was born homeless. I have no birth certificate. Like, this was me. I could not believe it. Like, this explains why I have no birth certificate. This explains why my parents were so strict. This explains why, as a Lao refugee, I was raised the way that I was, because my parents are from another country. They didn't know how to raise a child in America the way they did the best that they can, why we were so poor, why all the things happen. And so everything at that moment of reading these paper articles, my whole entire life did a 360, and I was just like, oh my goodness, wow. It was just such an awe feeling, like, wow, this is exactly why I am who I am and why everything happened the way that it did. So Dad comes over. I said, Dad, we need to have a talk. We need to sit down. Let's have a talk. You're getting older. You need to tell me what is going on. How did we get here and why? I want to hear from you. So I turned on the recorder on my phone and I said, Dad, I'm going to record you. And my father, for 2 hours, he went through this long history of everything post-war, when the American troops pulled out, his being held captive. He still has rope scars on his wrist, and I had no idea. And the world has no idea what we as Laotian refugees went through. And it's, you guys, like, this is so meaningful what you're doing today, because Elgin was my home. This was my home. Like, we came here. I was that little barefooted child running around, So when you do stuff for refugees, and when you do stuff like for me and for, the people that are without, like, that means so much to us, because you gave us life, you gave us a dream, you allowed us to get you were that pillar to help us get to where we were. So at that very moment of realizing everything my parents went through to get here, I made it my mission to give back, to learn as much as I can about our culture, about our community, and to give back. And right now, my husband and I, we own a marketing company here in Elgin, which launched right during the pandemic. So, but fortunately, it's an online marketing company. It's an online business. However, aside from that, everything that I do, it's intentional. My office is in Elgin. I give back whenever I can. Right now, I work for 2 nonprofit organizations that I'm funded through the Retirement Foundation to help out with 2 nonprofit organizations in order to give back to the refugees, the immigrants, and nonprofit in a low income in our community. So everything that I do now, because of what I found about our history, and just knowing that, and knowing that you guys put our history here so that our children and our children's children can know where we came from, can know the struggles that we've been through, it just means a lot to me. So with that, I just truly want to thank you. But I journal all of my experience of growing up and learning about my identity. Growing up, I was too Asian for Americans, because, I had the hand-me-down clothes, I was poor, I was being attacked, racism. My childhood friend Madeline is here with me from grade school, elementary school. So she was around at that time. And during elementary school, she may not have realized this, but I was bullied every single day. I hated recess. Chinese, Japanese, look at these. I hated recess. And even my teacher, I won't say her name because I know there's some U46 teachers in here. I just met one. So I won't tell you who said this to me. But here we are 30, 40 years later. I still remember this very day this teacher, U46 teacher said this to me. She yelled at me and said, "You don't deserve this country." And I went home and I said, "Dad, this teacher told me I didn't deserve this country." The way that my father explained racism, honey, some Americans, they like us, they love us. However, there are some that just don't like us because we have black hair. We have dark hair, so I started putting sun in my hair. Well, maybe they'll like me now. But, every day it was a struggle. I was struggling with my identity. I was struggling with who I am, why I couldn't do everything that my American friends could do. Why we couldn't go to the movies, why we couldn't go to school basketball or football, things like that. And as I got older, I started becoming more and more Americanized, and all of a sudden, it was almost like I was too American for my Asian culture. So certain people in my community started to bully me. Now the bully's coming from the other side. So I was too Asian for the Americans. So I started to struggle with my identity. It wasn't everybody, because as you know, our Lao community is the most loving community that I have ever, they're just amazing. But there are just certain few who were still, old school, and, because I started to become a little more Americanized, because that's all I knew, right? So I started getting kind of bullied and harassed by my Lao friend or family members. And so then that led me to running away. So at the age of 15, I ran away. I ran away to Kansas City. And I share that story here. I ran away to Kansas City. And so, you guys, I won't tell you the rest because you'll have to read the book. And I'm probably out of my time right now. So, but you'll have to read the book and you'll find out what happened. But full circle now, if you have kids or you have teenagers, don't lose hope on them as teenagers, because just don't lose hope when they're teenagers, because if you're making the wrong decisions or anything like that, they'll come around. But yes, so hope you enjoyed the book. Those of you who have already read it, some of you brought it here, I can sign them. But thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity. I didn't know I was gonna have to talk, so I didn't have a speech or anything, but thank you.
Okay, now I want to introduce Ket Herena. She is the one that has really put this together. All of you are her family.
I'm not talking about
Ket lives in the street with her husband and children. And she was a refugee from Laos and came here in 1978 when she was about 10 years old. Ket teaches Lao children traditional dance and music, and she's a strong advocate for the Lao community. She's also the director of the Open Door Clinic. So with that, Ket.
First of all, let me start by telling you a little bit of background on how this display came to be. A year ago, I had an idea, I had a project, and I came to Liz and said, "Liz, let's all have this project. I want to be involved in the museum." And that project didn't happen, but a few months ago, she came to me and said, "Hey, Ket, we have this project that we could do together. This is even better than what I have originally thought." So thank you, Liz. As part of our culture, we start an event or a gathering or festivals with a blessing. Either I would usually have our dancers do a blessing dance, but but we have other dances planned tonight. So we're gonna do a blessing ceremony. If I could get your attention to my right here, this bowl, it's called a pakwan. It's part of our culture. Pakwan is, it means a trade that brings the spirit together. It's a love tree. And usually in it, we use it for happy celebrations, like a new baby, get well, or going away, happy journeys, and stuff like that. So in the picture here is an example of a wedding. That's in the 90s, my sister's wedding.
Whose wedding is it? It's you or your sister, right?
Yeah. It was my sister here, she's in the center with her husband. I'm in the green next to her. And then my other sister, Bird, who's here too, is in the pink. And my parents. So that's an example of our wedding. And then you can see the pakwan in the background. So, and the pakwan consists of 5 things. Okay. One is a candle on top that you light during the ceremony. It signifies light. 2, flowers around it signifies purity. 3, the food and wine that's in the pakwan signifies prosperity. And then the string that you have now, we're going to do a blessing with, signifies unity. And the silver bowl just brings everything together. That's a foundation. It's a foundation that brings all those things together. And usually a wise man or somebody who perform the ceremony, calling the spirits and calling all the good guardians and to come bless us. And then we will bless each other with the strings. So with that, Liz, could I have yours? I will need a volunteer so I can show you how to do it. Any volunteers? You all right, that one? All right, that gentleman back there, which is my husband. With the palm down, and you brush away all the bad things. All the bad things go away. Turn the palm up, and brush all the good things come to you. I bless you with good health and lots of happiness. May no harm come to you. May no difficulties come to you. And may you do well and support us. And when you travel, please be safe and happy returns. Thank you. Now I'd like you all to turn to your neighbors and bless your neighbors.
And then have good health. May you make sure have everything in your heart and family.
Are there more strings? Are there more strings?
Right here? She has it. Yeah. At the library, right? My cousin Bert worked there when we were little. Like 20 years ago. Yeah.
The streets were already identified and multi-year tables, so now keep it for a few days.
Can't take it off.
And when you do take it off, don't throw away, because we don't throw away blessings, just keep it in your sock drawer or somewhere.
But the socks disappear.
Draw your attention to the can is a loud instrument. I'd like to draw your attention to the can. This instrument right here is made with bamboo, and you blow in and out of it. That makes music. And then, with that said, I'd like to introduce our dancers, Jamie and Natalie. Come up, please. Jamie's blessing his dad. So the can is very important to our culture because you can't find it anywhere else because it's from Laos, and now our other cultures use it as well for music. And Amy, ready?
You have to turn up the speaker, I turned it down. Take your masks off.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. You almost introduced my daughter.
So the dancer toss and can, it's the sound of the music. And Jamie's gonna serenade Natalie with it.
Turn that up, yeah. So good.
Well, thank you, Jeannie and Natalie. That was wonderful.
Great job.
So these two young adults have been dancing together for 5 years now, and I don't need to teach them anymore. Now they can teach themselves, and I just coach them a little bit. It was wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed that piece. They will be doing another piece, which is one of my favorite dance coming up. But I'd like to talk a little bit about this display and why Lao people came to U.S. came to Elgin. My Laura has already talked about it a little bit. But does anybody everywhere else in the world, does anybody know why Lao people came to Elgin?
Now we do.
Right. Also, when we were in the refugee camp, when they interviewed us and they asked us where we want to go in the world,
USA.
and we don't know anywhere else. We don't know San Fran. We don't know. But we know Elgin because Elgin is the sister city of Vientiane. Yeah, in 1967. So they wrote a treaty to be sister cities, and that's how we know Elgin. So that's why when people started coming here, and then my parents, my family included, we came when I was maybe 10 years old, and at the time we didn't know any English, but we settled here. And then once we settled, then we sponsored our families to come as well. And in my house, there's probably 5 families living in that 3-bedroom apartment at one time. So families came, and then we got them settled. They move out, and then more families come. And so it's not just our family that did that. A lot of people did that. So we're one of the, I guess, pioneers for the Lao community in Elgin here. So you over here in the display it tells you about Laos. If you get a chance later on, you can walk around and read some of the descriptions. And that's how that we got here. And then once we're here already, the community grew really fast in the early 80s, right? So, and also people are in Rockford as well. So the two communities, Elgin and Rockford, got together and established the first Lao Buddhist temple in Rockford. That's in the early 80s. It's probably one of the first Buddhist temples in America. We looked up today that right around the same time one was established in San Diego. Elizabeth, that was today. Thank you, Liz. So I'm not a historian, but I lived through this, and I survived the Vietnam War. Came to America, 40-something years later, here we are. And then during the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of gang activities, and for the youth. So the parents, the community leaders got together. We have to do something to help, the younger generations and steer them to school, and don't do gangs and stuff like that. So that's when they established the first Lao organization, Lao American organization of Elgin. That's now called Lao E, short for Lao E. So that's how Lao E was established, and to help refugees, to help do activities, to help us get settled here. Fast forward years later, then we moved the temple from Rockford. My father and other community leaders got together, monies from their own pockets, and bought the house on Route 19. That's the Lao Buddhist temple that's there today, and it's now growing. We bought properties nearby there, so if you get a chance, go visit the temple. And years later, the community grew, and we needed a bigger place to practice Buddhism, and also to do a lot of people like to party. To do festivities, to do festivals, cultural festivals, religious festivals, so we need a bigger place. So they got together and established the temple in Hampshire, Illinois. It's still there now, it's huge. So if you get a chance, it's the Northern Illinois Buddhist Temple out there. And later on, other temples came up on Route 19, on Route 25, and Dixon Avenue. Now it's the meditation center. So if you want to meditate, and you can go to the Lao Buddhist Temple on Dixon, and it's surrounded by water, ponds, and flowers, and it's very serene, very peaceful. So if you get a chance, go visit there. And fast forward, we did a first Lao International Conference on Lao Studies in 2005. We hosted our first Lao Writers Summit in 2008. Elgin and I and other parents established a Lao Youth Summer Camp. Now it's called Multi-Educational Outreach Foundation. So we changed the name from Lao Youth Summer Camp to a Multi-Educational Foundation to include other cultures as well. So, and that program is strong now. They have sports program with it. It's amazing. We started with this, 20-something students. We were going to do it in my backyard, but we ended up doing it at a temple for a few years, and then we moved to the church where the location is now. Fast forward a lot, and 2017, Lao E again established an organization called Nansan, which is to teach dance and music. And then we took the kids back to Laos, nine kids, and some parents back to Laos, and they taught, they learned from the masters in the Lao School of Arts in Vientiane, and we also were in Mokabang, and we connected and reestablished the Sister City campaign. So we did that in 2017, and here we are today. So a lot has happened in the last 4 decades, and you can talk to some of us here to learn what our stories are. Afterwards, please feel free to look at the display. These are like wedding dresses from the 90s, and then the pink one from the 2000s. And these are long outfits that my son used to wear for festivals. Like Hmong is a group of tribal group that's from Laos as well. So, and then you get newspaper clippings of the things that happened in the last 40 years here. And some of the artifacts here that you can look at them, and you don't see this anywhere else because it's probably some of them are one of a kind as well. So with that, I'm going to conclude my speech because I talked too much. And but then to end the night, I'd like to bring back Jamie and Natalie for a dance. It's called Lao Nong Jian. It's written by a Laotian long time ago, but it's about a young man going off to war and he's saying goodbye to his love, which is something similar to our story here. So, Jamie and Natalie.
Để gửi tiền đồng lẫn tiền đồ về cho gia đình tuyệt đối an toàn.
Download this app today.
hai eo su không xiềng cày thăng hoa xiềng hoa trời kêu xiềng nổ kêu chợt trời chân cả ban ban đây anh nhau mùa này ơi non sao ơi non sao
Thank you, Jamie and Natalie. That was beautiful. I told you it's my all-time favorite dance. It's so romantic. I wish you could understand the language behind it. He was, serenading her, saying goodbye to her, and just being so sweet to her. So it's wonderful. That concludes our evening for today, but you guys are welcome to stay, enjoy more food, talk among each other. Please go see the rest of the exhibits in the museum. If you don't have time tonight, come back. The museum's open during the day from 9 to 4. From 11 to 4. Come back and visit. There's so much to see, and then we'll have more displays later on in the year when we'll probably switch things out a bit, so it's not the same. So you can still come back and see what's up here. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being here. Please be safe and hope to see you again soon. Let's give them to say.
No, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
All right, guys, beautiful ceremony. It is over now. Please share this so that other people can see the culture that you guys just saw, some of the amazing talent within that culture. And we are going to mingle and pack up, and we'll see you next time at 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. Laser Soul Podcast. See you guys there.